We've seen how to deal with negative exponents that are in the top part of a fraction, in the numerator, but let's now see how to deal with negative exponents in the denominator of a fraction. In general, well, you might expect, well, I guess we could go about it this way. We could say this is the same thing as 1 over a to the r, but if you remember your rules for complex fractions like this, it's the same as taking 1 times the reciprocal of the bottom here. So this ends up just giving us a to the r. So if we have a negative exponent that's in the bottom part of the fraction, you can actually move it up to the top part of the fraction, and that gives it a positive exponent. All right, so this one, 1 over 2 to the negative 3. This would be 1 times, well, yeah, I'm not going to write it like that. This would be 1 times 2 cubed. So the 1, because it was there already, the 2 cubed, because this was a 2 to the negative 3, I'm moving it up to the top part of the fraction. I don't need to bother writing the bottom part of the fraction because there's, I don't need to write it. And this becomes 2 cubed. Of course, multiplying by 1 doesn't do anything, but I had it there, so that's what I had it there originally, which is why I want to keep it there. On this one, we have a 7 up in the numerator, and the n to the negative 2 in the denominator is going to become an n to the positive 2 in the numerator, so we get 7n squared there. And you can see again, it's only the things that are affected by a negative exponent that end up moving. It's the n here that ends up moving up to the numerator. On this one, we have 8x over 3. All that stuff doesn't have a negative exponent, so that's all going to stay put. The only thing that's going to move is this y to the negative 4. It's currently in the denominator, so we're going to move it up into the numerator to give it a positive exponent. On this one, there's a bunch of numbers floating around. 2, that was supposed to be x cubed. 2x cubed, y to the negative 2 over 6x to the negative 3, y to the negative 2. There. All right, so if we wanted to deal with this one, you can do your laws of exponents as long as you see a law of exponents that can be applied. There is no particular order of operations in which you need to apply them. So I'm actually seeing a couple of different ways that I could approach this problem. I could use the fact that a to the r over a to the s is equal to a to the r minus s. Or I could use the fact that I have some negative exponents floating around. Let's do this in 2 separate ways so you can see how to do it either way. So let's do a to the r over a to the s first. And then over here I'll do negative exponents. First. Because I'm seeing there's negative exponents, I could deal with that law, those laws of exponents, or I have x cubed over x to the negative 3. I have that sort of pattern happening. And so this says I should get x to the 3 minus negative 3. So let's go 2, well, whatever, 2 over 6. I cancel a factor of 2 here. There's a 3 left behind. So there's a 3 in the bottom there. When we do this a to the r over a to the s, this is a to the r minus s. This is in the numerator because there is no denominator being written there. So that's why when I'm writing my fraction here, I'm going to write this x to the 3 minus negative 3 in the numerator. And I am actually writing it as 3 minus negative 3. It's this number minus that number. I'm wanting to be careful about that because there's a number of negatives floating around. Up on here, we get y to the negative 2 and y to the negative 2. I could say that those cancel, or I could say y to the negative 2 minus negative 2. Of course, this is going to end up canceling anyway. All right, 3 minus negative 3, that's 3 plus 3, so that's y to the 6th, and x to the 6th. 2 minus negative 2 is 2 plus 2, which is 0. And, well, that part goes away because it's just 1. We get x to the 6th over 3. So if I chose to use this property first, that's what I'd get. I'd get x to the 6th over 3. Let's deal with the fact that I have negative exponents first. This is, in general, probably the order I would recommend working on them in, because it's difficult doing some of this stuff with negative subtracting and dealing with those negative numbers. It's easy to make other mistakes. So let's deal with the fact that I have negative exponents first. X cubed is a positive exponent, so it stays put. This y to the negative 2 is negative, so I'll move it down there. I already put the 3 down there. Y to the negative 3, that's a negative exponent, so I'm going to move it up to the top. And this y to the negative 2 in the bottom is negative, so I'll move it up to the top. So you can see I just moved things around. We get some cancellation here. You can either do 2 minus 2 like I did over there, or just recognize the numbers cancel. And now we can actually use the fact that we have a to the r times a to the s equals a to the r plus s. 3 plus 3 is 6. That's definitely a lot easier algebra to do. So this is usually the way that I recommend dealing with negative exponents before you do any of the other laws of exponents. It's not necessary to do it that way, but it does tend to make the arithmetic easier.